I wanted to add to our discussion of the Bible as history to show you some of the ways in which you can interact with that biblical history. And one of those is actually being able to collect ancient coins. I have a friend, Jacob Gorsica, who is joining us, and he's made a hobby of collecting ancient coins from several different biblical periods. And what we're going to try to do is introduce you to some of those coins as we go along the way. So, Jake, thanks for hanging out with us. Let's talk about what you can learn from collecting ancient coins.
You can learn quite a lot. These coins actually force you to learn history in a sense. When you find one, you see the name of a certain ruler or a certain place. Naturally, your curiosity takes over and forces you to research this place or this ruler because you want to know more about the origin of this coin. Now, one question I get a lot is, how expensive are they? People assume the older an object is, the more valuable and more rare it must be. That isn't always the case. There are plenty of American coins that are worth a lot more than some of these ancients. There are a few ancient coins that are only worth a few dollars. There are some that are worth well over $1 million. It all depends on what you have. But even some very historically accurate coins can be easily snapped up for some pretty low prices. Take this coin of Herod Agrippa, for example. It only cost me around $50. If it were in worse condition, I could have got it for even less. But you still would have been able to attribute and identify that coin.
All right. There are a couple different ways to collect coins. Tell me about that.
Well, there are really two main ways. These coins are in the ground, obviously, like all the other artifacts. And when people dig them up, they either clean them themselves and sell them to dealers, or they sell them in bulk uncleaned. Most of my collecting has been through uncleaned coins. I'll buy them, I'll clean them off, and I'll see what lies under that dirt. This coin, for example, is from the Roman colony of Troas, which is near Troy. It's mentioned in the Bible many a times. And as you can see, the condition's not the best, but I can still identify it. It would have cost me a lot more had I bought this pre-cleaned, but I've bought some cleaned coins from dealers before. Ones that didn't show up in my uncleaned hoards again and again that I was hoping to get. Although, in either case, there are a few legal and ethical issues you want to watch out for. A lot of countries place restrictions on these coins. Almost anything from the Balkan area, the Balkan Peninsula, Croatia, Serbia, they have very strict laws, and you can just about guarantee that those have probably been smuggled out of the country. Anything from England is probably fair game. I can't make that as a too broad of a claim, but that country has very lax laws. So whenever you are purchasing ancient coins, always try to ask, where did they come from? Did they have export approval? That sort of thing. In the United States, there's no real legal hurdles I'm aware of. I could knowingly buy coins that have been smuggled, and I won't get in any trouble. The worst thing that could happen to me is that the country of origin might want to confiscate the coins I bought and take them back without giving me a refund. I won't see any jail time, last I knew. But I consider that to be unethical, and most reputable coin dealers do as well.
All right. If I decide to start collecting ancient coins, you have to clean them off because they've been degraded over time, buried in the ground. Once I clean them off, though, how do I keep them from degrading further?
It all depends on the type of metal the coin was made of. If you have a gold coin, it's pretty safe. You could keep it in sulfuric acid and nothing would happen to it because gold is a very unreactive metal. Silver is usually pretty safe too. A lot of the coins I collect are bronze. Bronze is cheaper. And because it's a copper alloy, it's very susceptible to corrosion and to oxidation. There are a few ways you can protect these coins from that sort of thing. One is with a material known as Renaissance wax. It dries clear, you can't even see it. It costs about $15 for a little bottle of it, but you want to be wary. If you don't stabilize the coin by heating it, I don't even know how to do that. It's a very advanced process. And you put the wax on it, you can trap harmful chemicals inside it and hasten its own destruction. The way you store them can actually help quite a lot. If you keep them in airtight cases, like little plastic flips, it will keep them away from the humidity and from the harsh chemicals in the air. You want to make sure you have really safe materials. The United States Department of the Interior actually has a little article on which materials are safe for artifacts. It's where I got mine from. You can never go wrong with acrylic. Acrylic is a very safe plastic that's really good for ancient artifacts. Polyvinyl chloride, anything with the word vinyl in it, you're going to want to ignore. Stay away from. There are chemicals in there that can actually damage the coins further.
All right, thanks. Well, here's what we're going to do as part of the Bible as a History series. We're going to talk about some of the coins that Jake has collected over time, and we've kind of grouped them into different periods. So we're going to talk a little bit about rulers that show up in biblical prophecy. We'll look at coins from the Maccabean period when we talk about that time between the Old and the New Testaments. We'll talk about some of the rulers that minted coins during the time of Christ, and coins from the early church, and then those after the biblical writers concluded writing, but still coins that are of interest to the church. So we'll put these together, and we'll add them to our discussions as part of our study of the Bible as history. Thanks, Jake, for joining us, and we look forward to your future visit. Thanks.
My pleasure.